So, it is dark out. Now, I know I said this was the last video, or the video before that was the last. What's going on, everyone? So, if you've seen part one, I said I would cover it when it was on the other side. It's on the other side. It's on the dyno. If you haven't seen part one, well then stop what you're doing. Right down below in the little detailed info box, or whatever you want to call it, part one link will be up there. I'm not going to go over the full out kit again, but this is our street turbo kit. If you are interested, shoot us an email or message us on Facebook. RC Autoworks on Facebook, rcautoworks@gmail.com on email. Everything is built here in-house. Mitsumoto intercooler. And you can see as I scoot through my straps, look how tight that is. You're not going to get something that's going to fit any better than that. And yes, there is a gap there. Other thing to keep in mind is how we make our intercooler piping, and I've talked about this before. You know, this is not a universal kit where you're going to see thousands of couplers just everywhere. The more couplers you have, the more chance you have for blow off. So we have just enough couplers, as I'm trying not to trip on my straps. We have just enough couplers to be able to get it off the car, the intercooler piping. The other thing too that I just wanted to mention is, see how we did the overflow? A lot of guys will just ditch the overflow and not have one. You do need one. So, relocated. And this one is rocking our turbo. Precision wastegate. And I think that's about it. I'm going to see what it wants to do. I'm going to see what kind of power we can get. It is on E85. We drain the gas tank, put E85 in it. Talk to the customer about that. He's gonna make a little less horsepower right now, but it's safer on E85. So if you're not familiar with E85, I don't want to turn this into a whole E85 segment, but of course E85 requires about 35% roughly more fueling, which means we're not going to get as much power because the injectors are going to max out. If you haven't noticed or seen, we don't have an adjustable regulator on this. It was out of his budget. Going with the bigger injectors would have put us over his budget. He did extend his budget at one point, and he had a leak that was coming from over here. We fixed that, and we did the catch can setup, which you can see it's tucked away. Tucked away nicely. Someone did mention too in our first video about this thing wanting to overflow and then maybe getting on the tire. This catch can's not going to fill up that quickly. If it fills up that quickly, he's going to have another issue. There is a drain on it. Right now where you can access it, it's going to be, there's a drain right underneath. With the splash shields, I don't know if this car had the splash shields. I'm going to guess no, just because most of the cars underneath, especially this old, don't have splash shields on them. But all you got to do, every other oil change, you can just drain it to check, see how much you got in there. But yeah, you know, someone mentioned about it overflowing. It's not going to, or overfilling. It's not going to overfill. If you have that much pressure that is relieving itself from your catch can ports, you have another issue, and you got to look into your blow-by issue more. So, with that being said, I'm going to hop in. I'm going to see what it wants to do. I'm going to dial in partial throttle, as I always do. You got to walk before you run, or you got to crawl before you walk. Can't just get in. I remember someone asked me this before in a live video, and was, you know, you can't just do a pull right off the bat, huh? I mean, I guess you can, if you wanted to just take the risk and make sure everything is 100%. You know, the biggest thing is that the tune is already built for it. So this tune is going to get it fairly close to where it wants to be, but that doesn't mean it's not going to need tweaking. And that doesn't mean that You know, we want to make sure everything is working like it should before we just do a full wide open throttle pull. So you gotta crawl before you walk. I think that's what I was looking for to begin with, and I think what I mentioned was the wrong one. But hey, you know, I'm gonna hop in it. I'm gonna see what it wants to do, and I will be back. So we got the partial throttle all dialed in, and at this point, I go to do a couple wide open throttle pulls, and something just does not seem right. It seems like we're a little bit low on power. Almost seems like the engine just does not want to produce the power. So now I was talking about boost leaks prior, about the couplers and the situation. I don't think we have any boost leaks really, but it's not going to take that long for us just to double check to make sure that we're seeing all that boost getting into the system. I've said it before, there comes a feel, and this comes with experience being on the dyno, you know, day in and day out. It almost just feels like we're not getting that punch. Like, you know, if this thing was working, you know, full force, let's say 100%, you'd be getting a 100% punch in the stomach. That's kind of how I relate. It just, something seems up. As I said, I don't think we have any boost leaks, but it doesn't hurt for us to double check. I'm gonna have one of my techs over here come and see if we can find something, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we just got done with the boost leak test, and as I was saying before, we found no leaks. So, you know, I've been sitting here kind of brainstorming, just troubleshooting, thinking about what it can be. And this is, when I do these videos, you guys hear me talk about it, and, you know, it's on our dyno checklist. If you don't have that, you can go back. You can go back a couple videos, and you can find that. Where I'm going with this more so is now, has me thinking, are we fighting something like a routine maintenance type deal? You know, yes, you see the distributor cap and spark plug wires they look fairly old. Are we fighting something maybe like, you know, valve lash is not correct? Now, we did do a leak down and a compression test on this engine. We are getting a little smoke out the tailpipe, but what you have to remember here, and if you're not familiar with it, a leak down and a compression test are not going to tell you if your valve seals internally in your head or your valve guides are going to cause a smoking type issue. And it's also not going to show what the oil rings are doing on the pistons. So the smoking is one thing, and it's not smoking super bad where I'm worried or think that's a power loss. Plus, as I said, we did do a compression and a leak down test, so we know that this engine has some strength to it and some power. So as I'm just sitting here brainstorming, I'm thinking to myself, and sometimes with the ignition wires, I can pick, since it is picking up the RPM and whatnot, you can sometimes see this not only on the dyno plot, the sheet, you'll see like a hiccup, as I would call it, instead of going straight up. You can sometimes see it also in a data log. Now, I am seeing a couple things in the data log, but I don't see what I'm normally used to seeing if I see like a distributor on its way out or failing and whatnot. And you know, the other thing too, the distributor is all synced up before a tune. You do have to sync it up with the timing light. We have done that, so we know that's all good before anybody comments and says, well, the distributor also looks off. When you sync the timing, you get it to 16 degrees, and that is where the distributor wants to be. We can't get it 100% at 16. It's just, we see that a lot either with, we see it with like no-name, cheaper Amazon type distributors. So I'm not stating that it's not causing our issue, the distributor or the ignition itself, but it doesn't feel like that. And you know, as I said, I'm on the dyno day in and day out. A lot of it comes to experience. I'm going to have my tech take the exhaust off, I almost feel like the exhaust is causing a restriction. Now, yes, he has underneath a 3-inch exhaust, and we were thinking we would connect it when we originally did the build, and we would be good, but we don't know how old this muffler is. He has a resonator. We don't know how old the resonator is. So I'm gonna disconnect it. I'm gonna see if of course we're gonna make more power because you have less back pressure, better flow, but should be able to tell me if we're missing what I think we're missing. So I'll be back. Car's off the dyno, all finished. They're putting it together next door. My main concern was just finishing the car so we're not here super late and we can hit this customer's little deadline goal that he had. When we took the exhaust off, it was night and day. Now, of course, when you take an exhaust off, you're gonna have less restriction, less back pressure. So yes, you're gonna make more power, but I think we jumped like 70 horsepower in the actual power band where we seem like it's struggling. And when I say that, beforehand, the dyno sheet was going upward, and then it would just curve down, and then kick back up around right when VTEC hit over. So there was no reason for that restriction that was happening before VTEC. And that's kind of what I was thinking, that, hey, you know, it came to me that I think we have something going on with the exhaust. And when we were wrapping up the turbo kit, we decided we would reconnect the downpipe to the exhaust because he had a 3-inch and, you know, it's going to be quieter. Never thinking that, hey, how old is this exhaust? Is there a restriction in it? I took a clip of the exhaust. I'm going to either put it before or after here. I'm not sure 100%. But it's by the outside shape of it and how rusted it is definitely old. So, you know, is the muffler coming apart internally, causing a restriction? Is the resonator doing that? Not sure. But besides that, we hit his power goals. Yes, the injectors are maxed out, which I told him. At this point, you can see in the video too how bad the engine mounts are, which he's aware of. He increased the budget a little bit. That's why we were able to do the catch can. So, you know, ultimately, until he does the engine mounts, I'm going to tell him to play it safe. Don't beat on it. And he's also, as I was saying during this video, the other maintenance should be happening as well. You know, the spark plug wires, the distributor cap, the rotor, valve lash. You know, we didn't do valve lash. Has valve lash ever been done? And then you also start going into the area of like the timing belt. Has that been replaced? So for now, I think that's pretty much a wrap. I just wanted to do a quick follow-up. I put some clips. I'll be putting clips in between here. And as I tell everybody, if you guys got questions, comments, concerns, hit us up. You can comment down below. We get back to you. If you're interested in one of our turbo kits, shoot us a message. Besides that, hopefully everyone enjoyed. Take care. So you can see when I was talking about the exhaust, right now we just zip tied it out of the way. It's disconnected from the actual downpipe. But what I was going to say too is, you can just see what I was trying to show you guys. I don't know, but by the looks of the rust, this exhaust is fairly old. You know, I don't know if something's coming apart in here, causing a restriction. You know, it's one of those things though, as soon as we disconnected it and I went to go do a wide open throttle pull, it was night and day. And I'm gonna get back to getting this off the dyno because we need to finish it up so he could pick it up. He has a slight little deadline, so my tech's got to get back to working on it. And I'm back one more time. It is early here. I'm half asleep. My guy got in before me, and he started cleaning the bay. So all this is clean. He cleaned up a lot of unnecessary wiring. We're doing a once-over. We got the bumper on. We had to trim it up. And I think that's pretty much it. This one's going to be a wrap. As we were talking before, I'm not going to encourage him to beat on it. You saw how much that engine moved, and I just don't want anything bad to happen. He's got some maintenance stuff he's got to take care of too. The spark plug wires, the rotor cap were one of them, like I mentioned earlier, but just trying to do a little bit more for the customer. Like I said, cleaning the bay. If you go back, rewind it, you might be able to notice the difference in the video, and maybe not. This one is a wrap. Oh, and the catch can. I got the video. I'll try to insert it in here if I can. Nothing came out of it, so and that was after a full dyno session, so not worried at all about the placement here. I think it came out great, and like I said, once every other oil change should be good. So thanks everyone. So it is dark out. Now I know I said this was the last video, or the video before that was the last video. Let's see, I have a light in here. So the customer called the shop, and when it rings a certain amount of times, it goes to my phone, and I noticed it was his name. So I picked it up and I talked to him, and you know, long or the short, he said the car stalled out on him when he was taking it home. He said something on the phone about he hit the horn and then the car just shut off. It wouldn't restart. You know, I suggested, hey, maybe you were low on fuel. We drained it out. We put 5 gallons in it. Maybe the cluster was a little off. He got fuel. It didn't work. I rearranged my plans. I was supposed to be doing something. It's a Saturday night, to give you guys an idea. More so just the commitment that's involved in this, including myself and everybody else that works here. It's the same way. I just so happened to be able to rearrange my plans as I was coming up here. You know, I had a slice of pizza hanging out of my mouth because that's literally all I ate today. I worked a good while. He actually showed up fairly late. He was hungover. He had a good night, he said, I think, or a bad morning. Besides the point. And you know, I'm here. And the first thing I grabbed, so when a car shuts off and doesn't want to restart, there could be a bunch of stuff that's going on. Could be, you know, timing belt related, fuel pump, distributor. If it's timing belt related, when you crank it over, you can hear that there's going to be no compression. And the one thing I wanted to grab was my spark tester, because I wanted to hook it up and I wanted to see if, in fact, we're not getting any spark, and if I don't hear the compression, I mean, of course, it's then shut the car off. But as I'm sitting in here, I noticed 2 things, and you can't always take this for granted, and it's not on every car, because I don't know if the check engine light worked, but you're probably not going to be able to hear it so much on camera. But if I prime the key, you don't hear any fuel pump, and I don't see a check engine light, which makes me believe the ECU is not getting power. So I have my voltmeter down here. Grab the quickest one I could find in the shop, and I'm going to basically test to see if any of the fuses are blown. I'm going to go through the whole board down here. He doesn't have a fuse cover either, and he's got some wires hanging, so it's going to make, I got to search on Google really quick. I'm going to go inside the fuse box. I'm going to make sure that all the fuses are good. I know there's a specific ECU fuse, but I'm going to check them all. So I'm going to be back. Like I said, I knew earlier I thought earlier today was going to be the last video. I'm tired. Got a slight headache coming on. It is what it is. I want to see if I can get this thing running and figure it out tonight. He's not going to pick it up tonight, but you know, it's one of those things where I'll lose sleep over it. So I'm going to get down here and I'm going to see what I can find. So everything in the engine bay was good. I'm down here, and lo and behold, the cruise control circuit is the fuse is popped. So if this fixes it, you should hear a fuel pump. So now is the final video. I'm beat, I'm tired, guys. What I do want to mention here, and it's not to throw anybody under the bus or anything like that, the customer was completely understanding, and I had no clue what was going on over the phone. I tried to help him. My big concern was his safety and anybody with him, and the car's safety. Ultimately, he was on the highway. You know, as I said to him, we'll get it to the shop, we'll figure out what's going on and go from there. You know, this is where shops can get a bad reputation because, you know, it left here and then he got stranded. And, you know, if we didn't hear back from him or he took it the wrong way, who knows? Who knows? And 22 years in this business, I've heard stories, I've heard stuff about us, and it just goes without showing how this has nothing to do with us. And like I said, I'm not pointing fingers or placing blame on anybody, but this is the other side more so that you don't see of the business. And it just, that's what separates. And if it was something, I was thinking when I was coming up here, what can it be? Maybe the fuel pump went bad. We're going to rip the fuel pump. We're going to replace it. You know, we're going to take care of them. You know, in this sense, it's just about doing what's right, going above and beyond, and having, as a shop owner, and I will say it, and I'm saying it very humble, I'm very devoted about what we do here and how we take care of our customers, and it's always been like that from day one, and that's why we're still in business and we're so busy. So I'm going to keep on ranting here. I don't want this video to go any longer, really. It's going to be a little bit of a bonus clip. I'm tired, if you can't tell. It's cold outside. I still have my shorts on from earlier. It was a little chilly this morning, but now it's definitely cold out. Hopefully you guys get the whole picture of what I'm trying to say. It's not about placing blame. It's not putting you know, I'm not trying to wear a cape here and act like I'm a hero or anything. It's just it's about going above and beyond. And when I alerted all my techs here that worked here, they did the same thing over Messenger. That's how we communicate. And it wasn't, you know, I just so happened to be able to arrange my schedule and get here. So I'm wrapping up. I'm done. I think this is going to be the last video now. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate you guys and girls and everybody else. Thank you. I wanted to say one more thing. And as I was speaking about being in business for 22 years and heard some stories, you know, at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. I preach this to everybody, not only that works here, I preach it to customers. And, you know, it's one of those things that it's just how you stand by your business as a business owner and you take care of your customers. So, you know, and in this situation, I reached out. I told him that I would do my best to be in communication with him. I tossed him my cell phone number. I said, text me, keep me updated. He let me know when the car arrived. And, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. I'm probably a lack of food and just lack of energy here. I'm just rambling on, but I just want to, hopefully you guys fully get where I'm coming from and understand. You know, it's all about passion. That's what it is. I appreciate you guys. And if you go back in the video, as I was thinking here, just if you guys didn't catch it, he has those upgraded horns, the bigger ones. So, you know, if you had a standard horn, they might work on the cruise control. I'm not sure. But these should definitely be on their own circuit, and that's probably what's blowing it and why it's blowing. So take care.